Okay, today is November 3rd, 2015. We're watching the infrared loop for the East Pacific. We've got 3 disturbances identified right here on the National Hurricane Center map. Let's go ahead and look at the National Hurricane Center. Got 3 disturbances identified here. One is 10%, and we have another one at 0%, or another one at 10%, and a third one at 0%. Now the one over here was the one we were watching that was being blown apart. We have a pretty good view of a sequence of that happening. Let's go back to the map here. Whoops. Right here. Okay, so this system right here we've been watching, and this was targeted by microwave here a couple of hours ago, and we'll get to see this pretty well in the visible light mode. Let's take a look at that right now. Stop the sequence and we'll scroll through right here, and we see these dimples being generated right here by that microwave blast, and then we continue to scroll. We see a blast right there, and it gets larger as it moves out radially. It expands in size. Okay, next frame. Now we see a little semicircular shaped blast pattern right up here, and then we get to see some water vapor shooting out of the sides here right next, right here and over here. All right, let's watch this in regular speed. Okay, so right here is that little horseshoe shaped pressure wave, little blast wave that shoots out of the northwest side of that event. Stop it again, back it up. Right there is where it's hit with the microwave, and then we see this rapidly expanding water vapor, and we see the blast pattern emerge, that little feature right there, and then we see some water vapor shooting out of the sides. Okay, so that's how it works. We've got a pretty good view of that tonight. They do have fluorescent overlays over this, but they missed the very first frame. All right, now let's go look at this in the water vapor loop, and we can see the color change pretty well right here. This thunderhead is being destroyed, and it goes from a brilliant magenta color to an aqua color as it implodes and as the core is heated. All right, now right up here we see a blast pattern. This is from an earlier thunderhead from several hours ago. So they've been repeatedly hitting these thunderheads as they redevelop these large thunderstorms. And that's what we're seeing here. This is the remnants of a previous blast pattern right here. And also over here, this big arc right here, that was a previous blast on a thunderstorm cell that I missed earlier on. So they've been hitting these all day long. And we're seeing, and here's one right here. That one there is being hit. We can see a blast pattern. Notice that the general flow is to the northwest, but yet we see this water vapor shooting out radially at all different angles, especially this one here. That's a great example. The vector force of this blast pattern is shooting out all over the place, and that pretty much demonstrates an internal blast occurring and sending water vapor out in all directions. That's another microwave blast there. All right. Okay, let's look at some of these other maps. We have the Northeast Pacific water vapor loop. This is a gale that's moving towards the west coast, and the moisture field is following the jet stream. It's diving down along the west coast and then doing a U-turn and turning right back up into the Four Corner States right here. Okay, let's take a look at the jet stream map, and we can see what's happening here. It's moving along the Aleutian Island area, and then it comes over towards Canada along the west coast, and then down, and then turns and moves back up. But we do see a disruption right here, and that is that very strong high pressure from that HAARP transmitter right here. That's impeding the flow of this moisture field right here on the jet stream. So let's go back and look at the Northeast Pacific water vapor loop, and we can see that happening here. This is a very large, very strong, high pressure. It's 1,033 millibar, and that is evaporating much of this moisture field from this gale right here. We can see that happening. And plus, they have chemtrails all through this area right here, and also down here. We'll get a look at that on the SSEC map. Okay, let's look at this in the infrared mode. And we can see that tremendous area of high pressure descending air, and the border, this ring right here is the border of that huge area of high pressure that's been installed to steer and deal with this moisture field from that gale right there. And then we have another hurricane force storm right behind it, right here. And there are high pressure zones being installed right now. There's 3 of them to prevent both of these from joining up. They're going to keep this moisture field separated from that. And we can see that over here on the right here is the surface analysis map right here. And we see that developing hurricane force storm right there. And then we have 3 highs that are being positioned to separate this gale from this storm here. And we have a high right here off the west coast, and the jet stream is moving along and then down along the west coast. So this is a very strong high pressure. There's a ridge right here that is going to keep this thing from moving up and getting mixed up with this other low right up here near Alaska, up in right here between Alaska and Canada. So they've got this feature here, and that will probably keep this thing sort of in a stationary pattern until this thing moves away. Okay, so that's what it looks like to me. So they've got these 3 highs here that will separate these 2 things. That's one of the big things they got to do first. Right here and here is to keep these 2 separated, so they've got 3 highs all through here. And then, of course, this huge high pressure here is disrupting the moisture flow, and that will keep things fairly dry. We did have a lot of really nice weather today. Cumulus clouds, very, very nice weather today. And very clean air, no chemtrails. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the western U.S. water vapor loop. We can get an idea of the size of that gale right there. That's a giant system. And we can also see the chemtrails all through that moisture field right there, and also down here. So between the HAARP transmitter and the chemtrails, we will probably not see much moisture out of that system, at least for the time being. There's still a lot of unstable air. There was a advisory on the National Weather Service on the radio today. They broke into regular programming to announce that from Malibu to Long Beach, there was water spouts and hail and wind. So they had a small craft advisory issued for this area right down in here, Channel Islands area. And that's because of this unstable air right here moving through the area still, this jet stream flow. And of course, this system right here is what passed through the area yesterday. And we see that there's no HAARP transmitter on that anymore. It's moved on and it's rebuilding. That's very typical. Anything that is over California gets the transmitter attention, but once it moves away, as we see here, it rebuilds. Okay, let's look at this in the infrared loop. We can see that system right there moving very quickly on the jet stream up through Montana. Here's that huge area of high pressure, and all this moisture is quickly evaporating as it moves south into that 1,033 millibar area. Okay, here is the SSEC map satellite, and we can see the chemtrails pretty clearly here, all through here, and also right down here. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at the surface pressure map. There's that high we were just looking at. You're going to keep these two systems separated using that feature, that little ridge of high pressure there. And that's sea level. Let's go look at the 500 millibar. Got this huge trough here. We're still right over California. And that's bringing the cool temperatures. We've got a lot of unstable air and very nice day today. Great fall weather. Be nice to have that kind of weather a little more often. Okay, here's the 300 millibar. See this low pressure right here from that gale. All right. That's pretty much it. We saw all this. Here we go. This is the ocean swell chart showing there's some very high ocean swells moving into the west coast. This area up here is generating, this low pressure is generating 26-foot seas, and that gale is generating 16-foot swells. So there's a lot going on out there. We saw this. We saw the hurricane chart. Okay, so that's pretty much it for today, and we'll go ahead and do an update tomorrow.